just say.
Well, the other night, I wasn't on the show yesterday. I hope you missed me.
We did. But Kathy Griffin was very funny and adorable.
Kathy was great. I watched the show later, but she was terrific. But anyway, so I watched the Republican debate, the so-called debate the other night. Did anyone see it?
I watched the whole thing.
You did. I actually watched it last night because of this conversation.
Well, for the purposes of people who didn't see it, basically there was a very strong interaction between Rudy Giuliani and Ron Paul, who is from Texas.
Congressman from
And
Texas.
he's a very conservative congressman from Texas, this guy Ron Paul. There he is.
Yeah.
And there he is. I never heard of him before.
Yeah.
And yet I thought he was just right on the money.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Now,
And
we have a
how
clip,
so?
right?
Well, we don't have, wait, the clip is too long to show.
So just
but
keep talking.
basically, he was saying that we need to rethink what we're doing in the Middle East as policy, rather than just being angry and reacting the way that we do.
But he didn't say it that way.
Well, if you saw him on CNN later, he elaborated.
Right, but during the debate, what he had said was the reason he essentially, in so many words, said that the reason why maybe 9/11 happened was that we had been attacking them for 10 years.
That's not what he said.
We had been. That's what I'm saying.
That's
People
why I wanted the
interpreted
clip.
what he's saying.
That's how Rudy Giuliani interpreted
Well,
it.
he
but
did
it's
say we
not what
have
he
been there
said.
for 10 years. Didn't he say that?
Yes.
He had been over
Yes.
there for 10
but he
years.
also says, you know, that we are building bases, 14 permanent bases in Iraq now. He says, what would we say if China was doing this in our country or in the Gulf of Mexico? Would we be objecting?
don't
We need
need
to
them
look
here.
at what we do from the perspective of what would happen if somebody else did it to us. That's all he's saying. All he's saying is, instead of just being a knee-jerk like Rudy Giuliani, and you know, Rudy Giuliani is not the only one who can respond to 9/11. Excuse me.
No, but he's the one who did.
But he happened to be there. So were we. We were all there also.
Yes.
The point is that there are other people in the country, including Ron Paul, who have another way of looking at Middle Eastern policy.
That's
and
like
we
saying
should be listening to those people too.
Well, we are listening to them. We're hearing them loud and clear. However, this is Ron Paul. This is
No, let Elizabeth
a
speak.
couple of things struck me as interesting. Number
moderator.
one,
Shut up.
he seemed to. Do you agree with him?
Call Elizabeth.
He seemed to link 9/11 to Iraq, which you never hear. Number one, do you agree with him on that? Ron Paul. He linked the two.
region.
He linked the region. Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
that was
region.
something that you really don't hear ever from,
he also-
especially
yeah,
someone of
yeah,
your
go
beliefs. And
ahead.
then also, you know, he's all about non-interference in the world. So what are we supposed to do? Apologize and never interfere again when safety's at risk?
just rethink.
Sorry, Mussolini. Sorry,
No.
Stalin.
Don't go back to that.
Noriega.
He's talking about.
What are we thinking?
Look, he's talking about Democrats also. He's not just talking about Republicans.
This is not about. I
He's
don't think this
talking
is
about how we
partisan.
supported the Shah of Iran, how we have bases in Saudi Arabia, which they consider to be a holy land. That is an infraction in many ways, and so we have to take the blame and the responsibility for what we do also, and not just attack willy-nilly.
Let me tell you
It's
something.
not working.
Wait a minute. He is saying, okay, because of our policy, because of our American policy
Yes.
of having people stationed all over the world and sticking our noses supposedly in other people's business, that is why these attacks have happened.
They
These are
don't care if we
Islamic
have our-
fundamentalist extremists who have this in their hearts from the
He
time they
doesn't-
could
he
hear
doesn't
a
see it
word
that way.
that they want Americans
Go
and
ahead,
Jews
Chandra,
killed, and
you
if they
wanna
have to die with us, they will die with us because that is better than us
But he
living
says
here.
it's not because of our lifestyles that they hate us. It's because of our policy. It's because we have
to think about how we got to where we are.
What about the policy of the Jewish population is so awful that
don't bring that in now.
I'm
That's
just
an
saying
extra.
they equate the two. They equate the two. They want both Jews and Americans to die.
Who's
That's
they?
simple.
Who's they?
Terrorists.
Again,
Islamic
it's the word
extremists.
terrorist.
Not
So I think we
Islamic
should.
extremists.
I have a point to make
Everyone
on
be
that.
quiet, because can I just say one thing? We're all talking over each other, and Barbara doesn't like it, and she's at home watching, and
She's
she's
going to
call
call in a minute.
Right. Now, Chandra, what do you have to say about it?
Bottom line is, you have to sit back and think about how you got to a place. Because we are reacting because that's what we have to do. But in that reaction, we also have to say, wait a minute, obviously something needs to change so that we're not having to be on this defense or on this offense. So we have to take other cultures, other things into consideration. I'm not saying take terrorism into consideration, but there's a logic. Somebody has a logic.
There's no logic to terrorism
You
in
wouldn't
my
have
mind.
all of these children children here with this brainwashing, doing the things that they do, growing up the way they grow up, and making the decision to die for something if it didn't mean something to them. You have to figure out what that is.
I don't
And
think
you
there's
can't
any
just-
logic behind that, though. I'm just not a person who believes that there
Because
should be
that's
any
not what you
logic.
believe.
Of course not. I don't believe in blowing up our own
Wait a
children
second.
in a
Wait,
car. I don't think there's any logic
Because
in
you
that.
think that they're innately evil people?
No.
Okay, so they just grow up and decide for no reason to kill themselves?
Islamic terrorists, extremists who
I-
blow
I
their own
don't
children
want you
up
to use
are
the
not.
word terrorist,
Why?
so
I will
we'll-
use it time and time again because those are the people that flew planes into our buildings and killed our people.
and
Terrorists, those
all
are
right.
the people who were in Fort
And
Fort
Ron-
Nix,
and Ron
over
Paul-
Nix, New Jersey, who were plotting to
But
kill
all
our
we're
soldiers in
saying-
cold blood.
but Elizabeth-
Those are terrorists. What do you want to call them? Sleepies?
It's too blanket a term
It's
because
upsetting to
there's
me to
no
not
telling
call
where
them
it
what
comes
they
from.
are. What is a murderer? A nice guy is a murderer?
But
What
that's
should we
not the
come up with
point of the
another
conversation.
verbiage for
The
these
point,
people?
the point of the conversation is that there is a policy
Yes.
that we're talking about here. Not just we hit you, you hit us. Also,
not.
the other thing about terrorists, you use the word terrorist. We
Yes,
were,
I do
we were
proudly
attacked
when
we
they
were-
run into our
Wait a
buildings and kill our
second.
people.
Yes, we agree with you. Nobody's saying
Why
that
can't I
they're-
use the word
Can
then?
I ask you a
Use it, but
question?
wait a minute.
No, Joy,
It's a-
I haven't said anything.
You haven't. It's not fair.
I just want to say something. 655,000 Iraqi civilians are dead. Who are the terrorists?
Who are the terrorists?
655
Explain the
Iraqis. I'm saying you have to look from the... We invaded...
Wait, who are you calling terrorists?
I'm
then?
saying that if you were in
Americans?
Iraq and another country, the United States, the richest in the world, invaded your country and killed 655,000 of your citizens, what would you call us?
Are we killing their citizens, or there are people
We
also
are
killing their citizens?
invading a sovereign nation and occupying a country against the UN. That's what we're doing.
We've
You know
had
what? We have done
3,400
a
of
lot
our
of good
men.
in that-
Wait
in
a
our
minute,
nation.
3,400 of our American boys have been killed, and girls
Absolutely,
also.
they have. It's the most devastating thing to hear.
So
Every
all
soldier
we're
saying,
saying,
what is
all we're
terrorism?
saying is rethink policy so that we can stop this. That's all I am saying today.
We should absolutely
And listen
be
to
thinking
people
about
like this.
policy.
That's all.
What is his plan? I want to know, what is his plan then to keep us safe? What is his plan? Because I hear a lot of
Well,
this.
he's believing in non-interventionist. We'll have to talk to him to see what his plan
non-intervention.
is.
See how good-
But
see how
for
good that does us.
Giuliani to
What's it gonna do us
grandstand,
any
and
good?
I'll tell you something else. After that Republican debate, Fox News did a poll, and Ron Paul got a higher percentage than Rudy Giuliani. So the conservatives out there who are watching are listening to this man.
You know why?
So let's not take for granted that
Because
there is
people
one side
no
or another.
longer, the vast majority of Americans no longer are falling for the trick of the bad terrorists who are out there to get us.
I'm not a fool, and I'm not an American who's falling for a trick that people are terrorists. I don't believe everyone in a
I didn't
foreign
say
nation
you
is
were
a
a
terrorist.
fool.
But I'm saying there are people who believe that if you use that word, you're a fool, you're brainwashed, you're not informed. Okay? I believe that there are certain people that are terrorists. Okay? I
And where
believe
should
that
we
they.
get them back, though? Where should we get them? In
What
the
do you mean we
country?
should get them?
In other words, it seems like to me that it's a police action. There are terrorists all over the place.
Yes, they
why,
are,
Why
including
attack?
this country.
But why attack one particular country when they're here, they're here, they're here, they're here? What's the point? I don't get
specific to the
logic.
group.
You know, I'm saying police decides when and where.
That's what I'm talking about. Policy change. Don't just. What was
It's hard
the point
to
of
have
attacking
policy.
a country? I
You
don't
know what?
get it.
And I agree with you. It is difficult to have policy against terrorism, global terrorism,
Yes.
because it is everywhere and it's unseen and it's
Okay.
invisible
Yes.
until it attacks.
And then it gives, it gives the leaders the authority to do whatever they want, whenever they want, because of this invisible, hard-to-find force field of terror.
Do you not believe in terrorism?
I believe, Elizabeth, that 6,000 dead Americans from 9/11 and from this war is a lot less than 655,000 dead Iraqis.
do you believe in terrorism?
I believe every human life is equal.
Do you believe in terrorism?
I believe there is state-sponsored terrorism. I believe there's government-sponsored terrorism by every nation in the world, including ours.
We host our own terrorists here. Maybe we do.
I don't think we host them, but Elizabeth.
But do you think we should be held accountable? Do you think the United States should be held accountable at all for supporting totalitarian regimes in the Middle East that we have been doing? The
years.
Shah of Iran, Saudi Arabia, all these countries.
arming
I'm
them.
not saying those
For
things are
arming
ever
them.
been
That's
overlooked.
policy. That's my point. I'm not going to say that word again.
Evaluated.
All right.
Always.
Yeah, and I
But
think
there are
Joy's
terrorists. Okay,
Joy's
they
major
exist.
point, though, is that in the middle of all the planning for the attacking, make sure that
said
there's planning
She said
for.
policy should always be reevaluated. That
should
was my
always-
point. You made it.
It's
Thank you.
always should. But there are terrorists.
And I still love her for taking the boogers out of my nose.
And just remember, I only have 5 more weeks. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics after this.